Greetings students, parents, faculty, invited guests. Welcome to the 2021 Global Jaya School IB Diploma Program Arts Exhibition. Today marks a special day. We will be celebrating and recognizing the hard work and effort of a group of students who, unlike any group of students before them, have had to find inspiration in unique and special places. Our students have been working from home since March of 2020 for the latter part of last year, combined with almost all of this year. Our students, both in the arts and not, have had to find inspiration, motivation, challenge, and that little bit of get up and go in order to make the most of their studies. For students in the arts that thrive with conversation and communication and inspiration, dialogue with others, dialogues with their teachers, we've been able to facilitate that through our classes. They've had to work on the development of their ideas and their portfolios with their teachers in order to get to today's stage. So what we will see today are a number of different perspectives, different motivators, different inspirations that the students have been able to identify and then build their portfolios off of. We will see drawings, we will see paintings, we will see sculptures, we will see a number of mediums as the students chose, as they have to choose, different ways in which to express themselves. We hope that you enjoy the exhibition. We are so very proud of our students. We're so very proud of the effort that they have put forward in pulling their exhibition presentations together that are on display for us here today. We wish you well. We thank you for all that you've done. Parents, thank you for the support that you've provided your sons and daughters. Faculty, thank you for the supports you've provided our students. Guests, what you see in front of you will be the culmination of a working relationship of home and school and students, parents and teachers that has afforded us an opportunity to provide these students with the chance to continue to learn and develop and grow, and then reach a day like today where we celebrate that which they have achieved. So sit back, relax, enjoy the presentation. We hope you enjoy this year's exhibition. Stay well, stay healthy.
Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for coming to the exhibition of Deeply Visual Art students. This exhibition was held differently because of its uniqueness. We usually carry the students' collection in school, but due to the current situation, that is no longer possible. So students do it independently in their respective residences. And this time, we will virtually see how our young artists, Andrea, Isabelle, Anin, Mika, Hejira, Valen, Joaquin, Roofi, and Zahin represent their thought and their skills they have already honed within 2 years of learning from their homes with mentorship and through distant learning with school. Carrying the theme of lucky, represented in various media ranking from two-dimensional, three-dimensional, and lens-based media, which reflects how they respond to the current situation, especially during this pandemic, which hopefully, as we hope together, will be ended soon. On this occasion, we would like to thank to all those who have already participated in the success of this event. To the head of schools, principals, parents for their continued support, the head of the art department who tirelessly provide assistance and support, the marketing team, and Iguadis as a college in guiding the student until the exhibition happens. We want to congratulate to students and to all of the attendees. Enjoy this exhibition. Thank you very much.
The works we will be looking at are the products of our intense hard work throughout 2 years. We chose the theme Locked In because for the majority of our DP years, we were imprisoned by the COVID-19 pandemic. But we did not let that stop us from persevering. We managed to get through the obstacles and challenges and achieved creating a complete arts exhibition display. Not only that, but we also managed to develop skills such as communication skills and creativity skills. Communication, as in we had to communicate a lot and rely on the internet sometimes. And for creativity, we had to learn new techniques to create our art pieces. Besides that, there are so many other skills we've developed. Those were just some examples. Above all, we would like to thank and appreciate the parents, the teachers, and other school officials who have helped us through such difficult times. Without waiting any longer, let's get on with the show.
Hi, my name is Isabelle from year 12 and this is my exhibition. The theme for this exhibition is life and the pursuit of happiness. In the attempt to pursue happiness, I often find myself struggling due to my unwillingness to change and dependency towards routines and patterns that don't align with the ever-changing environments around me. Resistance to change are depicted through the use of symmetry, repetition, and neutral colors that are all visually pleasing and calming from the element of expectedness and routine, hence creating balance. Though, since life also includes growing up and moving on, the inclusion of a more vibrant color of the blue sky and muted red represents the curves and corners in our lives in which we must give up parts of ourselves in order to maintain balance in life. The drawings on either side of the exhibition are facing the same direction as the flow of the exhibition, where to start and where to end. The symmetry represents the message within my exhibition to not be linear, nor have a beginning and an end. This is because I do not believe life to simply be linear. Changes in life sometimes doesn't make sense, and I don't expect it to ever will. Though of course, we have the tendency to seek purpose in everything we see and experience, but I for one would rather focus on what I can do to pursue happiness and live for the optimal experience. The first artwork in this exhibition is called Sonder. Sonder is realizing that everyone's life is as complex as our own. The two people in this artwork might seem like normal passerbys, but we often don't think about how they hold as much memories, stories, and emotions as ourselves. The absence of body parts eliminates their identity in order to generalize the feeling of Sonder to everyone around us. In addition to that, it could give the realization that we might simply be someone else's passerby, not realizing the complexity of life we live by every day. This work was challenging to me as an art student since I had to learn a lot about highlights and shadows, and apply them using a hard brush on maximum opacity using a digital software. Therefore, I had to find the right color palettes to realistically depict the clothes that the two people are wearing, which I believe was achieved. The second artwork is called Yesterday, Today, Tomorrow. At a glance, they look like a series of random photographs. Individually, each photograph represents a memory. They commemorate a phase in my life in which I experienced the most change externally, but my internal self was unwilling to give up parts of myself to adapt to it. As a result, I was left unhappy. Nevertheless, this change and my reaction towards it has shaped me into the person that I am today. These photos were taken by my mobile phone and no editing was involved, as I wanted to present them the way it is. For visual purposes, I curated them based on the color scheme, one with blue hues and the other with neutral colors, in order to maintain coherency in this exhibition. The third artwork is called Solace. This installation is made up of crocheted wool and acrylic yarns to look like stones and pebbles. The piece of fabric underneath represents soil as the surface. This is my own take of a Zen garden, which was created during quarantine when my homebody self longs for outdoor visits. The process of making this was highly repetitive, which I find very calming, and the result was able to give the same effect. The colors of the yarns are placed according to which the previous artwork with vibrant hues are placed and which with more neutral colors. The pattern created by the repetitive circles of each stone gives a sense of rhythm and harmony, despite being placed randomly, but as a reference to nature's beauty. I picked up this hobby of crocheting since the process is very repetitive and counterintuitive, thus allowing me to strictly plan prior to the making process and know exactly what to expect. Despite holding this exhibition virtually, I wanted to encourage my audience to play around with the stones and reposition them wherever they want. Not only will this allow my work to be interactive, the variant mixes of wool and acrylic in the yarns serves as a textile stimuli. The last work in this exhibition is called One After Another. It consists of a cream-colored calico fabric hung on either side of a drawing, which consists of repetitive horizontal lines made up of unintentional curves. Each row would follow the shape of the curves from the previous row continuously towards the end of the paper. These lines depict how every small act in life, represented by one line, has an important role in shaping who we are today and the kind of life we live in. In addition to that, the two fabrics on either side functions as a frame to allow the drawing to become the centerpiece. From afar, these tightly drawn lines would blend together, making it seem like a light gray paper is being hung. As you walk closer, the details become clearer. When looked at for a longer time, it becomes easier to see the slow and steady change of shapes from one row to the next. Just like understanding an individual, the more you look at them and know their history, the more you understand why they are the person that they are today. During the process of this exhibition, I didn't pressure myself to be too articulate with the thoughts I want to convey through the work, in order to let the audience establish their own distinct connection. It can be a representation of a certain thought or memory that they find personal, though I don't want to restrict them to a criteria on how to view my work and put meaning into it. As simple as finding my work visually pleasing is enough for the intention of my whole exhibition to be successful. This is because the ultimate purpose of this exhibition is the process to completion. How the work is acquired by other people, whether positively or negatively, would not change my own distinct connection with my work, just like how I want that to happen to the audience. Through this exhibition, I am able to convey my personal and understated thoughts about life and moving on. By expressing them through art, I can finally let them rest.
Hello everyone, my name is Andrea Agnetta Gunadi, and today I will be presenting my visual arts exhibition. As the years go by, the world seems to set higher standards in the areas of beauty. From the body shape to little details on your skin, everything has to look a certain way to fit into those standards. And I wanted to convey my personal and observed interpretations of the effects and realities of society's unattainable expectations. Additionally, I also wanted to include my personal struggles with my perception of beauty that is underrepresented within society. The mentioned goals are presented through my artworks in various forms, including watercolor, acrylic, digital illustrations, projector mapping, photography, and installations. I will be presenting my works from the left to right based on the narrative flow that I have set in order to follow through the process of societal impacts on beauty. The first piece is a self-photograph projector map picture of me called My Eyes Are Up Here, which is meant to highlight the face as, naturally, people judge other individuals by assessing their physical appearances, but the face is the part of the human body that should be first looked at. It establishes a strong emotional connection between individuals, and it acts as a preview of character. Therefore, through the eyes of a stranger lies the truth within an identity, and not from the external layer of the human body. This piece encourages people to start focusing on people's eyes whilst they interact without objectifying them. The contrast of lighting and shadows highlight the focal point of the piece, which is the face. The second piece is titled The Mirroring of Society. It is a digitally written, self-photographed mirror installation with me as the model. It represents the haunting of society's words. Helpful suggestions are one thing, but offensive criticism is another thing. This piece intends to showcase how society can treat an individual in an unaccepting way. The mirrors symbolize the non-escaping perspectives of society that fall upon an individual once insecurities arise. The message is to not believe in the unrealistic standards of society and start building up an esteem that fits with each individual. The third piece is a digital illustration that is most personal to me. I called it The Eyes of the Public, According to Me. Like many people, I struggle with a skin condition called atopic dermatitis or eczema. And it isn't easy going out without feeling self-conscious. The shadow in this piece shows how I physically look like, unexposed and with clothes on. And although my scars are hidden behind my clothes, I can't help but feel bare with nothing but my scarred skin. The monotone color choices in this piece emphasizes the focal point of the vibrant scars on the figure. This illustration presents how I feel people look at me, even if I know that people could not care any less. Insecurities will overshadow confidence that blocks personal perception of beauty. The fourth piece is a watercolor and acrylic painting called Blindsided, which has the intentions of showcasing being blinded by beauty. It expresses how we often overlook the realities of our surroundings because we get drawn to a sight that pleases us. In this painting, the figure of a bare woman represents humanity in a position of vulnerability, and the flower blindfold as the beauty that one often gets distracted by. The painting strives to represent society today where we neglect the real problems of the world to only choose an easy path over a significant one. Watercolor is used for softer tones that juxtaposes with the vibrant and standing out flowers to emphasize its intention of portraying a beautiful distraction. The fifth piece is a series of 4 digital illustrations titled Beauty's Bloodshed. This collection demonstrates exaggerated body-modifying procedures of women in order to achieve their desired physical appearances that appeal to today's trends. It highlights the bloodshed and unhealthy impacts of going through unnatural body alterations. The dominant color of red is used as a symbol of blood, danger, and sacrifice. The next piece is an acrylic casting and sculpting installation that I called The Pursuit of Beauty. We rarely ever feel content with what we have, yet we strive for more than what we can be grateful for. Everyone aims to pursue beauty in their own ways, but some people's pursuit of beauty requires risks that damage themselves and subconsciously takes away their sense of self as a human. The half-lifeless hand grasping for a rose represents the process of losing their humanity for the sake of pursuing beauty. Lastly, this is a perfectly broken reflection. It is an interactive mirror installation with one of them being shattered, facing a perfectly conditioned mirror. And from this piece, you look at a shattered reflection of yourself from the perfect mirror. While the mirror might be perfectly intact, we would still see ourselves broken. The perfect mirror is set across the shattered mirror in an angle that when we want to look at our reflection, we would choose the perfect one, yet the shattered one will always still be in sight. Yet we still see our flaws that overshadow everything else from the broken mirror, masking our face. To my friends, teachers, and family, thank you so much for visiting my exhibition. I hope that my artworks have opened your eyes and inspired you.
Whether across social groups or within ourselves, we humans deal with problems every day. Discussing struggles is far from pessimism. It is simply identifying reality. In my exhibition, I intended to explore the different facets of human struggles: personal, social, political, and environmental. My artworks are thematically connected, and although their techniques are not consistent, the experience starts out from a dark and neutral to progressively going to light and colorful, as well as from definite to abstract. I began my body of work with No Man is an Island. A piece of land is forcibly taken away from the ground and suspended in the sky. In this case, ironically, man is an island. This represents an inexplicable feeling of isolation when being in a place where we don't belong, and this piece sets an initial depressing tone to the exhibition. The next 2 works convey macroscopic problems. The more you rise, the more they fall is a direct message to the causes of economic disparity, also known as the affluent. They are perpetuating the system that prevents the poor from ever living a comfortable life. Humanity's presence is a statement on the effects of climate change on our world. Because of humans' existence, there are numerous problems that disrupt the course of nature. Vulnerabilities is a diptych that comments on gender roles. This is mainly conveyed through the copious amount of red and blue, which are the stereotypical colors assigned to women and men respectively. The people in the paintings are my sister and I, who have frequently experienced being told what to do based on gender norms. In the paintings, we convey defiance. We are doing the exact opposite of what society has been conditioning people to think from such an early age: that girls should not laugh too loud and that boys should not cry. The background brings the red and blue together to form a purple, representing my message to bring the gender norms to an end. The techniques are inspired by Solen Husaf, a Filipino-French artist who paints slice-of-life scenes of Filipino people and portrays emotion through prominent highlights and shadows. My Little World is a very personal piece to me. I got the idea while mourning my grandfather's death in June of 2020 because of the coronavirus pandemic. This artwork is a representation of the silver linings I think about despite the many unfortunate events that took place in 2020. The installation forms a sphere shape which represents our world. The newspaper represents the bombardment of happenings. The painted faces of the cubes are my favorite colors, which remind me to find the good in a bad situation. With this installation, I hope that people would reflect on their own experiences and overcome their personal problems just as I did. The next two artworks are more microscopic and dependent on the individual. Wither or Bloom tackles the internal dilemma that humans experience every day, whether to be ourselves and to live in color, or to internalize our vulnerabilities and live in darkness. Imperfections are beautiful, placed with symmetry and abstraction to convey the idea that there's nothing wrong with their features, even though they are labeled in society as imperfections. To end the exhibition, I made a futile desire. I went with more abstract techniques which directly communicate our intangible thoughts. Using an informal balance and symmetry, I create a fine line between idealism and reality. I intend to convey that despite the messy, wounded, and chaotic world that we live in, it is comforting to think about a place wherein no struggles exist, no matter how futile it would be to think about. The tinted colors and the abundance of white imply that idealism is beautiful, imaginative, yet also an illusion. I want viewers to see that idealism acts as a solace to me. It gives me motivation and gets me through our harsh reality, and it could possibly help the audience too. The works are hung in a way that would provide viewers with a journey. Two walls separate the installation into two, collective and individual struggles. The first wall, having a wider scope, allows viewers to think about how different circumstances affect different groups of people. The pieces in the middle are more provocative. They allow the viewers to take a break, to step back and delve into their reflective mindsets, how they manage their emotions, how they perceive other people, and how they handle personal struggles. The last wall aids viewers to dig deeper into their struggles as an individual, until the last work which would take all the negativity away. My vision for this exhibition is akin to a therapy session. It is made so that people would leave with optimism. The first 7 artworks involve problems and struggles, so the last artwork becomes the pinnacle of reflection and the direct turning point to all the negativity that viewers would have experienced beforehand. In brief, through the exhibition, I want viewers to know that struggles are a part of life, and that we should embrace reality instead of avoiding it. We are the master of our own person, and the choice to keep going amidst adversity will always be there.
Hi everyone, welcome to my IBDP Visual Arts exhibition. My name is Hejira and I'm from Global Jaya School. My exhibition focuses on the theme of inside one's mind or perception.
I have a total of 8 works curated in this exhibition. Firstly, I decided to put 2 curtains at the front to complement the theme of mind and perception. It's as if the audience is walking in through my mind and my personal thoughts.
The first artwork, named One Call Away, is an installation with a red phone, chair, and tulle fabric. Often dealing with intrusive thoughts, people usually have a hard time opening up to others and reaching out for help. The thought of talking to others about it often bothered them so much they disregard the chance to do so.
This is represented by the black tulle fabric, in which is wrapped around the red telephone, symbolizing communication or the source of hope.
Under all of that is the white tulle, where it supposedly represents the other side or the good side, in which an individual can discover after communicating about one's struggles. The second artwork, titled More Than a Portrait, is an unusual self-portrait.
Though the odd colors and pose is what differentiates them from other portraits.
It is a reflection and expression of how I view myself, further fitting the common theme of perceptions. The use of colors and pose represents the true identity in which I place myself in. Blue represents truthful and loyalty, red representing courage and passion, and yellow symbolizes hope and happiness. The pose portrays of what I may look like on the outside, but the color symbolizes my norms, the energy, and what I actually stand for. My third artwork is series called Surfaces.
Inspired primarily from the media itself, more precisely the writing in which is layered over the portrait, the artwork focuses on how we tend to judge a person just by what we see, resulting in our thoughts creating a misconception and masking a further step of getting to know them better. I am raising the concept of people treating others based on what they see in the surface, yet we actually do not truly know them. The moral I want to get through is to always be kind, as people might deal with different things we don't always know of.
I decided to do a series to further highlight the misconceptions several people have towards just one person.
The color scheme and the arrangement of the installation fits the urban theme of my artwork collection and the synchronization of the artwork itself.
My fourth and main artwork is titled Stop Being So Indecisive. Capturing the feeling of doubts as a person, this main artwork represents one's thoughts when they are doubting themselves and their choices in life. As others are often affected by one's indecisiveness, the huge letters represent the say in which a person receives. Smaller ones captures their train of thoughts and questionings. The board itself is man-like size. It captures how they are surrounded with this anxious feeling. A white circle in the middle of the board represents an individual who's always been in the middle of everything, never in one side or the other. The color itself correlates with the overall color palette of my artwork collection.
Another artwork is titled Gateway to One's Mind. Amused by the concept of eyes, this artwork is inspired by the phrase, "The eyes is the gateway through our minds and thoughts." Although communicating to another being is commonly using our voices, our eyes is always a part of it as well, whether it conveys or receives the message sourced from our mind. The use of colors represents the different thoughts in which exist in our minds, being delivered from eye to eye. It is in a form of a wave, as I am focusing on the aspect of these thoughts being delivered and received by us humans. Another artwork is titled Freedom Mentality. Following the theme of perception and the way of thinking, this artwork makes the audience reflect on their way of thinking on the daily. The common phrase of Eat, Pray, Love is an inspiration, as it captures the main parts of a living. The mirrors take part in reflecting the audience's faces. As they read the message in the mirror, in which reminds them of the freedom they should have in their lives, it helps the audience manifest the same energy and repeat those words to themselves. The dragonfly symbolizes freedom, and so is the color blue and yellow. My seventh artwork is titled What's the Thing About Sunsets? There are simple things in life we all find alluring, one of them being sunsets. The 30 minutes of dusk mysteriously triggers a mystery feeling in us. Whether we find it nostalgic, beautiful, or calming, a sunset is something that always calls forth a special feeling when we see it. The artwork is intended to initiate and push the audience to think back about how they felt and locate the mystery factor of the sunset in which contribute to this mystery feeling in one's mind. If the exhibition takes place in real life and in a real setting, I provided some post-it for people to interact with the artwork and put some post-it notes about what they think the mysterious aspect is or what they feel when they see a sunset. My last artwork is a mural in my own room. Since the media is too large, I decided to separate this artwork from my other collection. Describing my repetitive habit of seeking comfort, hope, and reassurance in God, this artwork represents my prayers whenever anxiousness regarding the future arises. I chose my wall as the media as it is a part of my room, and this prayer has been a part of my life for so long, hence this wall became a perfect spot since the mural became a focal point in my room. To be more specific about my curatorial, I focus my curation on the aspect of color balance and focus points. My focus points are my two favorite and significant artworks, an installation and a 2-meter artwork. Both colors balance out each other as they have the red and black and white in which complement one another. Continuing, I have another big artwork in the left corner as I want to make sure it doesn't clash with the main middle artwork. This work complements the circle painting as they have similar color schemes. I did this with my mirror artwork and my self-portrait as they have similar colors. They all don't clash and complement one another. Lastly, I put my series in where it is because I want it to be in the corner and facing forwards. With that, my exhibit further focuses on the theme of perception and mind through 8 of my artworks and how they are curated.
Hello everyone, my name is Mika from 12D, and today I will be presenting my art exhibition which follows the theme of identity.
Following the theme of identity, my artworks are all tied by a common idea of oneself and the people and world around them. I ask questions such as, what shapes one's identity? How is identity formed? Who creates our identity? I aim to convey the conflict of the search of one's self-identity and prompt the audiences to think of their own. The arrangement of the exhibition was done to keep a visual coherency, but also to convey a story. The artworks on the first wall have a more earthly feeling to it, as the neutral colors are a common ground between them. The second wall has a more mellow and melancholic feeling, as conveyed by the blue colors. The first wall has a common discussion of personal identity. For example, toxic relationship explores the idea of how we lose our personal sense of identity due to being blinded by a toxic relationship. An abusive partner is symbolized by the looming skeleton that tenderly covers the girl's eyes. The girl is seemingly blinded, as represented by the blindfold, to this toxic relationship, and remains silent within a relationship that strips her away from her individuality. The second wall has a common discussion of the identity of the people and world around us. Dream of the Butterfly is titled after a Chinese philosophical classic regarding a man who once dreamt he was a butterfly. He began questioning if he was the man dreaming he was a butterfly or a butterfly dreaming he was a man. This piece is a contemplative piece that questions whether the memories that we have is truly ours, or if the world around us is truly the world that we know. When the audiences enter the exhibition space, they will first be greeted by the first wall that contains artwork with a visual coherency of earthly neutral colors and the same theme of personal identity. This ensures the audience's comfort as the neutral colors are easy on the eye, and the idea of personal identity may be an easier topic to confront. By looking to these pieces, the audiences are prompted to ask questions such as, have I been in a toxic relationship that blinded me from my sense of identity? Do I truly know myself and my true identity? This contrasts the second wall, which is tied by the visual coherency of blue tones and the theme of the identity of the world and people around you. The shift from comfortable neutral colors to melancholic blue is meant to convey how the longer you contemplate about your identity, the more likely you will feel lost and have moments of sadness. The artworks on the second wall will prompt questions such as, who are these people around me? Do I truly know them the way I think I do? Or are these memories of the world around me even real? Mixing personal elements with elements other people could relate to, my artwork serves as a connection between my personal experiences and the audience's own. My first piece, FOMO, best exemplifies this as the model used in this artwork is me, and the photographs on her body are pictures of me and my friends. The photographs and words all over her body represents how we engrave our memories into our body and soul, embedding it into our identity to the point that we believe that it is who we are. This piece is my personal perception on how our memories are the ones that shape our identity, and reminds the audiences that one day, these memories too will be replaced with new ones, showing how our identities continuously change alongside of the memories we obtain. The notion of having precious memories captured in photographs and how people must let go are things that many people could relate to. From the deeply personal artworks, I wish the audiences to relate to these issues and think of their own experiences. From this, I wish for the artworks and audiences to reach an understanding with one another, find the answers regarding what is identity, and so on.
Hi, I'm Valen. I'm from 12C, and this is my arts exhibition. My exhibition is centered around the phrase, bad things happen, but good things happen too. It is based on a period of my life where I was in a very bad mental state, and thus I couldn't create anything that was worthwhile. During this time, I began realizing that my self-destructive habits were affecting how I viewed life and how I approached it. And I had to change those habits if I wanted to become a better version of myself. Relating this to the theme, by having this negative experience, I was able to learn something positive from it. As such, my works reflect that while bad things can happen, there is always a good thing that can come out of it. I wanted to express that through moments like hurt, we can learn to cherish things like happiness, understanding, or love. Visually, my works use bright and vibrant colors to bring out a feeling of positivity, even during times of distress. Some works have certain groups of color, where they have a very specific color scheme, but overall, every piece has some form of color to create visual cohesion. As such, the exhibition has a sense of happiness and hope. Additionally, I do not feature any human figures in my works and instead use personified animals, since I find these types of characters can convey a wider range of emotion while not catering towards specific people. As such, my works can appeal to a larger audience while still holding its cheerful and whimsical nature. The exact structure of the exhibition is limited due to the setting being inside my home. However, I wanted to make the audience feel like they were moving through the various moments one may find in life. As such, they do not only move left to right, but they would see many works which convey the idea of continuing on with life, in spite of whatever hardship comes in one's way. One example of such a work is Nurture Feature, a piece which takes direct inspiration from the theme itself. The artwork centers around the idea of self-improvement, which is symbolized through a growing garden. So long as a garden is constantly maintained, it can flower and flourish. Meanwhile, I Loved You for Every Memory I Lost uses the fairy tale of Rapunzel to reflect on past times, where the people we thought we cared for no longer cares for us. I had a similar experience before, and just like Rapunzel, even though I cared for that person, our memories of them needed to be laid to rest so that we could move forward. However, I am grateful for those memories and everything I have experienced in them. The warm tones and paintings of happier times reflect the sense of melancholy and nostalgia. Then, Upstream Dream is an installation based on a Chinese myth of the carp and the dragon, where if they could swim uphill to the dragon's gate, they become dragons themselves. This, combined with the Chinese proverb, 一步一个脚印, which is one step makes a footprint, This installation expresses the idea of persevering and moving forward, in spite of any hardships that may come one's way. Viewers themselves get to move physically too, which also involves them in the work while also getting its message across. Some of my other works in this exhibition explore the theme in a more positive light, and look at the ups you have in life. One of three enjoyments, for instance, explores what having a good time means to different people. Would they like to eat together with friends and family, hang out with friends, or spend some alone time? Meanwhile, Home Life Stanza explores how different people can come together as a family, hence why we are like a stanza. It takes direct inspiration from me and my two siblings alongside our Chinese heritage, namely the zodiac, which is the animals that are used to represent the characters within the artwork. However, in order to balance this out in terms of thematic coherency, I also have some works which are inherently more negative, in the sense that they discuss this theme through seeing life's various hardships. These works are primarily monochromatic in color to reflect this, but they also have splashes of color alongside it to give off the feeling of hope. So the work We're Not Alone in Isospace, for instance, looks at how people's physical, emotional, and mental states have deteriorated throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, as even though they live in such decorated rooms, there is the very small sense of life. However, the bright lines indicate a want for connection, and that people are trying to find each other in this vast range of isospace, and that we're trying to form connections despite the fact that we are all so far apart. Literary Box is more personal, in that it explores my relationship with the Chinese language and how I find it very difficult to articulate or express things within it at times. As such, I sometimes feel a dissonance with that side of myself and the side of the culture which is supposed to become a part of me. And yet I want to understand it as best as I can. Hence why, even though the words mean nothing when read, none of the words are actually jumbled or mixed together. Through my works, I hope for the audience to be able to relate their experiences with my own, and I hope to make them realize that life itself can never be completely positive or negative, but that life itself requires both for it to have any sort of meaning.
My name is Anin, and this is my exhibition for IP Visual Arts. Some of the main concepts and themes that I touched upon in my works are the passing of time, the preserving of memory, and establishing individual identities. This is seen through my works, which mostly consist of repeated figures, color schemes, and subject matter. One of my artworks that I feel best captures my theme is my series titled Peak. It is a digital illustration of 4 different interiors. Its arrangement in a clockwise rotation is meant to represent the different times of day, starting from morning to night, as seen in the light and shadow difference of each drawing. I used different interiors to describe how different people often present themselves differently throughout the day and to different people are in their environment. The window motif is inspired by artist Edward Hopper in his use of windows as well. Another artwork I would like to highlight is my series titled Falling Flower. This is an acrylic painting on canvas and depicts cherry blossom trees, again a transitioning background from dawn to day to dusk. I used cherry blossom trees because while I was researching, I found that cherry blossom trees hold this value in Japanese culture that beauty is not long lasting and only is for a temporary moment before it lasts to the ground. The fleeting beauty of these cherry blossom trees are something that is so relevant to my theme that I decided to use it in this painting. I found that in order to capture memory and passing time, something that is so abstract and cannot actually be seen in real life unless it is upon our own eyes, it is the best way to capture it would be through an image. I was greatly inspired by artists from the Impressionism movement such as Claude Monet, Renoir, and Cézanne. I mostly modeled my painting based on their color choice and technique in brushstroke. This was the first artwork that I worked on and took the longest to make. It took me a total of 8 hours for each painting due to the details in each painting that I wanted people to pay attention to. The last one that I wanted to focus on is my 3D piece titled Oyster. I was inspired by this due to a memory that I keep from when I was 2 years old, from when I first went to see the ocean with my family. I was inspired by how wide and vast the ocean appeared to look, and I wanted to capture that in this artwork. The medium of this artwork is ceramics, and it is something that I've never tried before, but I was very interested in. Not only could I mold and experiment with this medium, I could also use the final product as a functional piece in my everyday life. I think that is one of the most interesting things about art is that it can be found in everyday life and it can be inspired from everyday life, or it can be an alternate reality to everyday life, something to provide ourselves with a healing or a comfort or an escape from mundane, boring, everyday items which may tire us out or irritate us. To come in line with this concept and idea of calming and comfort, I chose blue as the main color scheme because I found that this color best represents what I am most in seek for or in need when I am feeling stressed or I need something to calm me down. I wanted to mirror how some people would find comfort when they visit the ocean or when they see a large blue body of water, which helps them to ground their thoughts or calm themselves down. It was my first time to use a 3D form in my artwork, and I was very interested in it, and I was very inspired as well. The transitioning of colors in this specific piece, which goes from light to dark, represents how as time goes by and as we progress in our lives, we are equipped with more knowledge and more understanding of the world and the environment around us, and more about ourselves as well. Like a lot of my other pieces, this piece also involves themes of nature and surroundings and larger places that are larger than mortals or humans like us.
Time. It's one of the most valuable concepts in life. A beginning with no end. We are all prisoners of time. And once something happens in the present, there is no going back to fix it or change it. I have decided to go with an exhibition layout which splits my colorful artworks against the monochromatic ones by placing them on opposing sides. The ones on the left are colorful and are more linked to the usage of modern techniques or forms such as digital art. However, the ones on the right are more based on traditional techniques and forms, such as traditional inking. This would allow the audience to fully immerse themselves with the modern-based art and the traditional ones, one by one. Throughout my exhibition, Basilia, a writing form I created inspired by Zubing's square word calligraphy, will be used for my art pieces. The structure of the letters were designed and inspired by fictional and real forms of writing, using both Dwarven by J.R.R. Tolkien and the normal English alphabets. The letters are more rigid compared to the original English alphabets to give it a more traditional and ancient feel. One of the recurring symbols in my work is Ouroboros. It is the representation of the eternal circle based on ancient Egypt and Greece. We see it as the focal point in my work, the statue of Ouroboros. And as a focal point, it depicts a serpent representing eternal and endless time. But a closer look will show you that it has a dual nature. It is also a silhouette of a serpent which threatens our lives with death and destruction. Life and death coexist in the cycle of time. Another two relating artworks to Ouroboros would be the Circle of Time and the Circle of Infinity. For the Circle of Time, an hourglass is shown to let us know that time is always running out. The complex design of lines above the hourglass were intended to represent how we sometimes let events in our lives cloud our judgments, which makes us lose our precious time. As for the Circle of Infinity, it lets us know that time is infinite and will never end. The complex design of lines also have the same intention of letting us know that sometimes we let events in our lives overcloud our judgment of time. The Tower of Time is a piece which represents the daily cycle of time. The midnight moon represents nighttime, whilst the sun represents daytime. The left side tells us a story of how the sun rises, waking us up from sleep so that we can live again. The right side tells us how the moon rises, bringing serenity and calmness. The three pieces are positioned above a clock with Roman numerals to show how the time for each day is limited and has been carved out into hours. Infinity really is one of the major symbols of time because it tells us that time does not end, it only has a beginning. For surrounded, the infinity symbol in the middle of the painting represents the backbone of this infinite time in this universe. Every building, organism, and nature is surrounded by time. Eventually materials will decay, living things will die, and so on as a side effect from infinite time. The colorful clouds used for this painting are meant to represent memories because throughout time, throughout our lives, we create memories, and memories are full of colors. My installation is called Distorted Memories. It is better in the dark. Memories can be distorted or very random, moving back and forth in time. This is reflected in the installation, which does not show the full and complete sequence of a memory. The left side shows the past, and the right side shows the future. The memories on the right-hand side of the past can be seen, but there is nothing on the right-hand side of the future, because the future is not known to us as a memory. The streak below shows that the movement of time is linear, and that there is only one way, forward. Many of my other art pieces shows growth and development over time. We can see bricks and metals used on the right branches, and on the left we can see burning wood because people use wood as fuel. In the background, the development from nature to an urban landscape is shown to represent how humans really utilized resources over time. Time really is a major factor which influences our development and growth as a society and as an individual. My message to you is to spend your time wisely and think before you act upon something, because you do not want to make a mistake that you may regret for the rest of your life. As we know, time is linear and there is no going back to the past to change things. We can only look forward to the future and live in the present. Thank you.
My brother was a spark that ignited my unyielding obsession towards the world of the visual arts. I witnessed his various character sketches that I admired as I peeped from behind his right shoulder. Flash forward a couple of years, I practiced my art skills to achieve my dream to be an oil painter and a concept artist. I tightly hold on to my aspiration to be able to illustrate the scenes in my head, actualizing beautiful visual metaphors. My most recent portfolio is composed of various types of artworks, ranging from oil paintings to three-dimensional sculpture and installation. My works follow an overarching theme of human that explores what it really means to be a human, the duality of men, how societies interact with our dying culture, as well as human ethics. The theme is derived from my personal interest in humans as the only overly complex creatures of this world. I combine my interest in philosophy, literature, and ethics with the topic of humans. This overarching theme was also inspired by a range of media. It was primarily inspired by numerous tales such as the story of female Greek scientist Hypatia, Arthur Miller's play The Crucible on the 1692 Salem witch trials, and Aristotle's Eudaimonia, among other things. I started my portfolio with a collection of figure drawings as I searched for a method to be able to portray all of the important components of the human figure, which are form, anatomy, structure, flow, and action, before diving deeper into the theme of humans. I researched two very contrasting artists, and they are Leonardo da Vinci and Tim Gula. Da Vinci is an extreme example of very detailed drawings of human anatomy, while Gula is the other side of the spectrum that favors action and gesture without regard to detail. Combining the two resulted in a style that focuses detail on the center of mass, while other areas of the figure are left to show the action. After the figure drawings, I did oil paintings on canvas for the first time.
My main inspiration was the old master, Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio, as he was capable of portraying convincing human drama with a hyper-realistic naturalism. One of my oil paintings is called The January Fantasy, and it is a snapshot of myself on the 11th of January 2020. My fantasies of myself have always been changing as time and experiences converge, but I had to capture one to never be forgotten. This fantasy to be a 17th century painter maestro like Caravaggio was the most significant phase of my school life. Another important oil painting of mine is called The Church and the Intelligent, which is a personal critic against witchcraft accusations and how the fears of unknown intelligence may destroy potential knowledge. This piece was created using the classical technique of oil painting I learned from artist research, such as underpainting, flesh tones, chiaroscuro, and sfumato, to achieve convincing images with an eerie yet powerful mood. Moving on from oil painting, I started painting digitally with Hidetaka Miyazaki's visual world building such as Dark Souls, as inspiration to portray the same theme in a more dark fantasy and gritty manner. I also inserted various elements from the traditional Indonesian culture. The sub-theme of culture is imperative in most of my artworks because I believe that Indonesia, as my birth country, is home for various interesting interactions between the humans and the constantly changing culture. An example would be my artwork called Cultural Oblivion that uses Rumah Gadang as inspiration. I also decided to experiment and convey the theme of humans without humans as the recurring subject. For instance, Isolated in Abandoned Culture is a painting of a vehicle without a single human in the frame. This artwork right here is called Shaman, and it is about the Dukans in Indonesia that take advantage of people's unfortunate circumstances. They trick hopeless people with black magic for their selfish desires. I portray them in the form of a shaman inspired by the Dayak tribe. The skirt is embroidered with the face of a devil that often appears in the Dayak tamang shields. As for this artwork called Devil, it is about the shady merchants of Indonesia that are mischievous for their own selfish gains. I portray them to be sickly people, with scales and a face hidden by a mask, inspired by one of the Balinese creatures called Barong. This artwork is called Eudaimonia, and it is a three-dimensional brick sculpture and installation. Nordic runes are engraved in the altar, such as Gebo, partnership, Urus, strength, and most importantly, Manas, human. These runes are what I believe is essential for eudaimonia, or happiness. The fountain has the appearance of an ancient relic to show that the practice of being the best human existed since centuries ago. The candles represent how currently people still attempt to achieve eudaimonia, while the gold represents the human soul, or Aristotle's euzen, meaning living a good life. In COVID-19, I arranged my home-based exhibition to be a room that surrounds my three-dimensional work with a flow from left to right that shows the chronological journey of my attempts in portraying humans. It starts with my figure drawings to my oil paintings and finally my digital paintings, all assorted in a neat composition. I made sure to create an ambience that keeps the audience comfortable and immersed in my work, as if they are in an expensive museum, by installing a red carpet with a beautiful embroidery, a piano nearby, an assortment of plants, jet black panels, and spotlights. And finally, to all of my teachers, friends, and families, thank you for visiting my exhibition.
Greetings! It is my pleasure to provide the closing remarks for this year's visual art exhibition. I would like to begin with some thank yous. Thank you first to Pak Santosa, Ibu Adisti, and Pak Eric, without whose guidance this event never could have happened. I would like to thank General Affairs, Finance, and Security for arranging for orders, for pickup, for return, for reimbursement of purchases. And I would like to thank the parents for your unwavering support and willingness to transform your homes into art galleries in order to support your child's artistic endeavors. Students, I would like to thank you most of all for your perseverance. Locked in is the theme that you chose, and you all could have given into the idea of being locked in due to the current circumstances and settled for less than your best. Instead, you dug deep and you found the will, the drive, and the means to realize your vision. As I watched your videos and I listened to you explain your work, I saw and heard themes of optimism, hope, and determination to fight the pessimism, anxiety, and mental, emotional, and physical claustrophobia that can result from feeling trapped, whether by a pandemic, societal expectations, the dichotomy of good and bad, internal perceptions, personal questions of identity, or by time itself. To see you all express this theme in your own ways, whether as expressions of light and memory, symbols and characters, common objects reimagined and repurposed, or explorations of happiness and what it is to be human, makes me proud to be your principal and honored that you have asked me to be a part of this event. Thank you for allowing us all to experience the world through your minds and through your creativity. We can't wait to see what you do next.